welcome back to Case Closed, Anime Review, episode 164. Wow, Nick, you're actually reviewing this episode the day it comes out. Good job. Yeah, because I had no delays this week, so kudos for that. Now, this is an anime original episode. It's called Take the Boys Test of Courage. This is episode 1000, I believe, 52. Yes, though next week they're adapting the very next canon story arc, which is 4 chapters. Yes, unlike the chapters released lately, actually for quite a while, where just 3 chapters and that's it. Yeah, I kind of wish they were longer. So this episode is put. Now, first praise of the Riot Bet. Now, this is a Take the Boys episode. A lot of the time, these episodes are generally not that good, and half the time the writers forget Hybra is supposed to be part of this group. Because that's been a major issue lately with these episodes focused exclusively on Detective Boys. Is that they have 2 major problems. Number 1, a lot of times they're very good, and number 2, they forget Hybra exists. Yeah, they think there's only 4 members of Detective Boys, even though there are 5. Yes, 5 of them. Not 4, there are 5. Good job remembering her. Episode starts out with this couple, which are apparently people who investigate haunted places, though we'll get to more in a minute. And then we see Genta, Micho, and Ami watching it on a laptop. It appears to be a YouTube video. Yes, seriously. They're watching it on the Japanese version of YouTube, which is strange to say the least. Yes. Oh, by the way, the dude watches Professor Goss's home. Where is Professor Goss in this episode? Never explained. As I know, is his place because his place was shown frequently over the course of the entire series. Though this is probably the first time I could think of when they feature the interior of his house, and he's nowhere to be seen. Yeah, I thought this is kind of weird. So they heard about, then all of a sudden they talk about this particular haunted, and they decide to do some investigating themselves. Well, because they're Detective Boys, obviously. So they go investigate this abandoned hospital. I mean, what is this, Ghost Hunters? So apparently there are 3 rumors of the place. Number 1, there is this red Onigami crying, a mummy man on a wheelchair running around, and a long-haired woman running around with a scalpel. They're here to investigate those 3 things. Okay. And when they get there first, they see a scarecrow where apparently it's like elite. Apparently it's like do not enter, but the other 3 enter no problem. And of course, Conan himself basically just regrets going in there. So they go to the first floor, where they look around with this Onigun, and it turns out it's actually just a cat. Yes, a black cat who does play a role in the episode. And of course, Hybrid. Of course, you have this thing where Mitchell gets like, "Oh man, you're making me jealous," because he has feelings for her, and she knows it. She knows that he's got feelings for her, despite the fact she's an older woman. Yes, seriously, that's what is kind of creepy about this. Is that the subject Hybrid looks like she's about 8 or 9 years old. She's actually 19. Yes, seriously. This is not some random disguise or just basically like she's a dwarfism. Oh no. She's like this because of a drug. Something which the series, even the manga itself, occasionally does. A lot of the time does bring it up. Sometimes it brings up sometimes in canon stuff, but not a lot of time in any original content. Not really. No, Conan they may bring up all the time as part of the opening synopsis of the series. When it comes to Hybra, nope, they don't do it at all for some reason. So then they go upstairs, second floor, to investigate the mysterious mummy man, and turns to the mummy just dummy. But then Conan notices a set of newspapers on the floor, all from the same day 6 months ago. Well, that's but rumored. That's how long that the story of the series is going on for in universe. 6 months. Yeah, this is kind of weird to say the least. It's always awkward the sliding timescale of the series because this is set in the real world. If this was Naruto, it would not be an issue. Naruto or One Piece, not an issue. But this is the real world, and they have a very sliding timescale. And unless you forget, the manga has been publishing since 1993. The anime has been on the air since 1995. Yeah, seriously, it has been on the air that long. Approximately about 27 years it's been on the air. Yep. So, and then Konosuba basically thought the doll moved. Of course, they're videotaping the whole thing on Mitchell's phone. And they go to the third floor to investigate the mysterious female doctor with long hair who is chasing with a scalpel. And when they get to the 304 door, it's covered in bloody handprints. As for why in the world it's like this, Hybrid theorizes it's a prank, and then they come across a long-haired woman. Lakota does know a couple things about this particular supposed ghost, whatever. The Black Cat comes back and being very friendly to this person, and also, and to my point, since when does ghosts have a bullet hole in their hand? So, yeah, it turns out this whole thing was rigged. The whole thing with the stuff related to all the scary stuff was all rigged. And it turns out those two were actually faking it all along. They actually were not investigating, like, haunted house. The stuff they thought was haunted was just stuff they set up by actors. Yeah, which they's like, we trust you, and you basically all lied. And the first two, they proved no problem was them. Third one was not them at all. Yeah. So then all of a sudden there's a patrol person coming along. Yeah, this guy turns out he's actually apparently he's a murderer. Yes. Coda finds out thanks to some research he's a murderer. And when he digs out a knife, he tries to use his little dark watch on him. But for some strange reason, the guy has to block him for some reason, and also inadvertently knocks on one of his shoes. Like, this I thought was kind of weird. Like, why the heck are you blocking Conan? He clearly knows what he's doing, and yet you're being a complete buffoon. And we're chasing around a guy with a freaking knife who drops his knife, though they end up scaring him with basically apparently a skeleton of a woman he killed. Though he falls over, collapses, he's arrested immediately on the spot, basically, for being a murderer. By the way, they prove the fact he is a murderer due to the fact he had dyed his hair. Previously was blonde to black. Also, he lost a ton of weight. Oh yeah, and by the way, the two couple there, they were given a warning for trespassing, and detective boys were given the same thing too. Now here's the thing. Conan Hybrid did not want to go in there at all. Even they realized that this was stupid. And yet, what they did was, well, they caught a murderer. Inadvertently. Now, as for why in the world this house was abandoned, they do show one of the articles, apparently it was a malpractice suit, but it's not going into detail exactly what the heck is going on here, or who this mysterious person that the guy killed. Yeah, we don't really go into detail with that. Yes, the whole thing related to him felt a bit tacked on. Like, maybe, like, the whole bit with him was probably supposed to end the episode and was supposed to be a two-parter. Yeah, I had this theory watching this episode that this episode was meant to be a two-parter. It was not meant to be a standalone episode because the whole thing with the murderer stuff felt really tacked on. Like, it was basically added in probably the very last minute. Because it was going to be pretty interesting, of course, to prove all the theories, outing the murderer, and that could have led to another episode, maybe some background information about the guy. But no, we decided to rush this ending here. It felt for an abrupt ending. Yeah. The next week, Cannon Case. Yes, I'm so looking forward to this one because I think I reviewed this one about 2 years ago. Yes, I believe so, because this was, I believe, I remember correctly, I think this was like the third or fourth case I reviewed in terms of the manga. Let's see. Excuse me. Let's see. Yeah, it was actually it was 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago. This actually was the third, fourth, fifth, sixth. This was the seventh case I'd actually reviewed for the manga. Yeah, seventh story arc, and came out 2 years ago. I was correct about that. Though I should point out, though, with the very next story arc, that's why they switched to doing three parters, with the exception of the FAIC murder case. Every single case since the Cargo and the Lemon, which is the case coming out this one, it has to be three parters. And every single case since then, for the past, I don't know, like year and a half, three parter, three parter, three parter, three parter, three parter. Why the heck is three parter? I have no freaking idea. It is by far the most strangest thing related to this series. And yes, there has been a new chapter released. There has been. Mm-hmm. But it's not been translated yet. Do not know why. Like looking at the possible scene in the case, it looks like you see Rashenko. I haven't seen her in a while, and it looks like Aki maybe. I'll find out soon when I get a chance to review through the actual, like, the manga itself, which it's already out. Apparently, it's gonna go on for a few weeks. Looks like it's gonna be another three-parter. I'm like, why? This next case is gonna be a four-parter. Well, hopefully this will be the last one of three-parter because I really miss having the more than three-part arcs. I mean, what's wrong with those? I have no idea. Yep. So yeah, that's gonna be particularly it for this particular review. Stay tuned for next video I'm gonna do right after this, which is gonna be a review of basically a light novel of One Piece. Okay, next video. Bye.